Welcome, my friend. The storm rages outside, but here, in the quiet of this story, I invite you to find peace. Let the sound of the rain and the distant thunder guide you as you drift into a place of calm. This story is my gift to you, a gentle companion for a night of restful sleep. Relax, let go of the day, and let the story carry you into dreams. It's always the same in here. The hum of the fluorescent lights overhead, the distant clatter of something shifting in the vast empty aisles. The warehouse is massive, dark, and cold, with endless rows of shelves stacked high with boxes and pallets, each one meticulously organized. It's the kind of place where you can easily lose track of time. And when you're working the night shift, that's exactly what happens. I've been doing this for months now, working alone during the graveyard shift. The hours stretch on one after another, with only the sound of my footsteps and the occasional whir of the security cameras to keep me company. You'd think I'd get used to the silence, but something about it always feels off, like the building is waiting for something. I've always told myself it's nothing, just my imagination running wild in the dark. But tonight something feels different. I'm monitoring the security cameras, making sure everything is in order, when I notice something odd. The feed from one of the cameras is glitching. At first, I think it's a minor technical issue, but as I watch, the screen flickers, and I see something strange, blurry, indistinct shapes moving between the shelves. Okay, how is the thunder? Love it. Let's go. At first, I think it's a trick of the camera, but the figures are too distinct to be a glitch. They're moving, walking through the aisles. I don't know if I'm seeing things, but my stomach twists into a tight knot. I look away from the screen for a second, trying to shake it off. But then the lights flicker, and the air in the warehouse grows colder. I stare back at the cameras, but they all seem fine now. It's as if nothing happened, but the uneasy feeling in my gut doesn't go away. I stand up, deciding to do a quick round, check the aisles, make sure everything is secure. The shadows seem darker tonight, stretching farther, reaching longer than usual. It's almost like they're alive. I'm walking down one of the aisles when I hear it, a soft scraping noise. It's faint at first, almost like someone dragging something heavy across the floor. I stop. Continue the story. Go on to the story. My breath catching in my throat. The noise stops just as quickly as it started. I try to dismiss it as just the sound of the building settling, but the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I keep walking, my eyes darting between the shelves, scanning for anything out of place. The warehouse is large, too large for a single person to be in alone. It feels like the walls are closing in, like there's something lurking in the shadows just beyond my reach. I glance over at the camera screens again. There's a spot where the feed cuts out for a second, one of the aisles near the back of the warehouse. It's almost like there's something blocking the view. I can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. I turn the corner and walk down the next aisle, but as I get closer to the end of the row, I see something that shouldn't be there. A section of the wall looks different, like it's been moved, like something has been hidden behind it. It's not part of the regular layout of the warehouse. I step forward, curiosity creeping up my spine, and pull at the wall. It moves with ease, as if it's on hinges, revealing a hidden room I've never seen before. The air in the room is heavy, stale, as though no one has been in here for years. The floor is covered in dust, and the walls are lined with mirrors. But they're not just ordinary mirrors. They reflect the room. Yes, but there's something strange about them. I step closer to the mirrors, peering into the dim reflections, and that's when I see it. It's me, but not the way I look. My reflection is distorted, twisted, as if I'm standing in a funhouse. My face is pale, hollow, my eyes dark and sunken. The reflection of me grins, but I'm not smiling. It's like it's mocking me. I take a step back, my heart pounding, and the mirrors seem to warp with me. My reflection moves on its own, its features stretching and contorting into something grotesque. It's no longer just a mirror. It's an entry into something darker, something that I shouldn't be seeing. I turn to run, but the door slams shut behind me. I scramble against the door, my hand shaking as I try to twist the handle. It won't budge. The metal feels cold against my palm, as if it's been frozen in place. I'm trapped in this room, surrounded by mirrors, and I can feel it. The reflection behind me is watching. It's not just reflecting me anymore. It's mocking me, pulling me deeper into its twisted reality. No, no, no. I mumble, trying to turn the handle again. Panic rising in my chest. My breath is coming too fast, too shallow, and I can't seem to think straight. I can hear it now. The soft scrape of shoes against the floor. The same footsteps I heard earlier. Only this time they're not in the distance. They're right behind me. I don't turn around. I don't want to see what's there. But the pressure in my chest is unbearable. I can feel my heart hammering in my throat, each beat like a heavy drum. My eyes are glued to the mirror, and that's when I see it. My reflection. It's smiling. Stop it, I whisper, my voice barely audible over the pounding of my heart. I'm shaking, trembling from the inside out, but I can't look away. My reflection. It's not me anymore. It's twisted. Its grin is too wide. Its eyes too dark, like it's something else wearing my face. I step back, but the reflection steps forward. It moves when I move, but it's not me. It's wrong. It's alive. No, no, you're not me, I say, my voice cracking, the fear spilling over. This isn't real. This isn't real. But the reflection doesn't stop. It tilts its head to the side, that grin growing wider, stretching impossibly far. We are one now, it says, its voice a low guttural version of my own. It's like the reflection is speaking for me, not with me. I reach for the door again, slamming my shoulder into it, but it's still locked, still frozen. I bang on it, my frustration mounting. Open, damn it. I scream, but it doesn't open. The mirrors around me are getting closer, their reflections twisting, pulling, until I feel like I'm drowning in my own image. The shadows in the mirrors stretch toward me, as if they want to swallow me whole. And then I hear it. Help. The voice is soft, faint, and it sounds like it's coming from the mirror. I look at it, and in the reflection I see me again. But this time I'm not alone. There's someone standing behind me, someone in the reflection. My blood runs cold. I whip around, but there's nothing there. Nothing but the same empty room and the mirrors. The voice comes again, louder this time. Help me. I take a step forward, heart racing. But when I glance at the mirror again, it's changed. The version of me in the reflection is no longer smiling. My reflection is crying, tears running down my face. And its eyes are pleading with me. What the hell is going on? I shout, backing away from the mirrors. But the reflection doesn't stop. The version of me in the glass reaches out, its hand touching the surface of the mirror, and I see my own hand move with it. The air in the room feels heavier. I can't breathe. I feel suffocated, trapped by my own reflection, and I realize that the figure in the mirror, the version of me, it's not just a reflection. It's something else, something that wants me. It wants to pull me in. No, I scream, pounding my fists against the glass. I'm not you. I'm not you. The reflection doesn't answer. It just stares, its expression growing darker, more sinister. Then it opens its mouth, and I hear it. The voice, the one that's been echoing in my head. You are me. The last thing I see is the reflection's hand reaching through the mirror, its fingers wrapping around my wrist. The coldness shoots through me, as if its touch is freezing my soul. I try to pull away, but the grip is unrelenting. No, I scream again, struggling against it. I'm not you. I don't belong here. The reflection in the mirror smiles again, but this time it's not just the reflection. The figure steps forward, its face, my face, closer, and as its hand tightens around my wrist, I feel myself being pulled forward, drawn into the glass. I scream, but then everything goes dark. The darkness is overwhelming. It presses in on me, from all sides, suffocating me. I can still feel the pull from the mirror, my wrist burning where the reflection's hand gripped me. But then, just as suddenly as it started, the sensation is gone. The pressure, the cold, the suffocating darkness, it all disappears. I open my eyes. I'm back in the warehouse, standing in the middle of the aisle. I blink, confused, and the first thing I notice is how quiet it is. The kind of silence that settles deep into your bones. No hum of the overhead lights. No sound of the forklifts. Nothing. Just the empty warehouse stretching in every direction. The cold concrete beneath my feet feels real, solid. But something is wrong. I'm not alone anymore. You shouldn't have looked. The voice cuts through the silence. A whisper at first, then growing louder, more distinct. It's a woman's voice, one that I don't recognize. The sound of it sends a chill down my spine. Who's there? I call out, but my voice sounds small, lost, swallowed by the vast emptiness of the warehouse. And then I hear it. Footsteps. I turn quickly, but there's nothing, no one. Just the aisles and the shadows stretching between the shelves. I take a slow step forward, scanning the darkness, but the footsteps continue. Closer. I spin around again, my heart pounding in my chest. This isn't real. It can't be real. Get out. I freeze. The voice is sharper now, more urgent. It's as if it's right in front of me, but I can't see anyone. I back up, feeling my pulse in my throat, every nerve on edge. The air feels thick, suffocating, like it's pressing against my chest. I glance over at the security cameras on the far wall. One of them is flickering, the feed grainy and distorted. Through the haze, I can make out a figure, a blurry, indistinct shape moving between the shelves. I don't want to go any closer, but something compels me to. Stay away from it, a voice says. This time it's a man's voice, deep and gravelly. It's familiar, but I can't place it. My heart skips a beat. Someone else is here. I turn, and there he is, a man standing at the end of the aisle. He's tall, wearing a faded jacket, his face hidden in shadow. He's standing still, just watching me. His presence feels wrong, like he doesn't belong here. Who are you? I call out, my voice trembling. He doesn't respond. He just takes a slow step forward. The footsteps echo louder in the empty space, each one sinking deep into my chest. Stay back, I warn him, stepping away. Stay the hell away. The man stops, and for a moment we just stand there, staring at each other across the darkened aisle. And then the figure in the mirror. I don't know how it happened. 1 second the aisle is empty, and the next the reflection in the security cameras shows the man standing behind me. His eyes are dark black, but now they glow faintly, like the reflection is alive, watching, waiting. You shouldn't have seen it, the man says. His voice low, almost a growl. You've opened it, and now it's too late. The air around me feels like it's thickening, pressing down on me. My throat is tight and I can't breathe. What do you mean? I whisper, my voice barely audible. The man doesn't answer. But as I turn to look at the mirror again, the reflection shows something I couldn't see before. The shelves in the aisle are filled with reflections. Other versions of me, standing in the shadows, watching, grinning. They're not my reflection. They're distorted, twisted. Their faces grinning too wide. Their eyes empty black voids, just like in the mirrors. And then a cold hand presses against my shoulder. I told you not to look. I spin around, but the man is gone. The aisle is empty, but the figures, the reflections, are still there. They're not just standing there anymore. They're moving. One of them steps forward, and for the first time I can feel it. Its eyes are on me. It's not a reflection anymore. It's real. I stumble backward, but the figure in the mirror doesn't move with me. It stands there, grinning. Its head tilting to one side, the blackness of its eyes swallowing everything. You're one of us now, it whispers, its voice echoing from the mirror, and the walls wrapping around me, pulling me into the shadows. I want to scream. I want to run, but my feet won't move. I'm frozen, staring at the reflections of myself in the mirrors. Their faces too wide, their smiles too dark. And then they step forward. I try to scream, but no sound comes out. My mouth is dry. My heart is hammering in my chest, and my limbs feel frozen, as if the air around me has thickened, locking me in place. The reflections, those things are moving closer now, walking toward me, their twisted grins growing wider. I feel the coldness in the air intensify. The temperature has dropped so low that I can see my breath in the dim light, and it's like the very walls of the warehouse are pressing in on me. The shadows are no longer just in the corners of the room. They've grown, stretching toward me like tendrils, wrapping themselves around my body, pulling me closer to the mirrors. "You can't escape," one of the figures says. Its voice a distorted version of mine. It sounds like it's coming from all directions, like the mirrors are speaking to me, mocking me. I take a step back, my legs weak, but every time I move, the reflections move with me. There's no escape from them. I'm trapped, surrounded on all sides by these twisted versions of myself, grinning and whispering things I can't understand. And then I hear it. The click of something in the distance. A door, something opening. I turn my head toward the sound, and that's when I see it. A shadow in the far corner of the aisle. A real shadow. Someone moving between the shelves. Someone alive. "Who's there?" I shout, my voice raw with fear. But the shadows close in around me, and the figure in the corner moves closer, stepping out of the darkness. It's the man from before, the one who warned me. "You shouldn't have opened it," he says. His voice a low whisper, barely audible over the rush of panic in my chest. Now it's too late. I stumble back, my breath ragged. "What do you mean? What's happening to me?" He steps closer, and as he does, I see something on his face, something that makes my stomach turn. He's smiling, but it's not a friendly smile. It's a cold, malicious grin, and his eyes, they're not human. They're black, like the void, empty and hollow, just like the figures in the mirrors. "You've opened the door," he says, his voice low and foreboding. "You've seen the truth, and now they'll come for you." I turn toward the mirrors again, but I can't look away from the man. His presence is suffocating, like the air is being pulled out of the room. The reflections in the mirrors are moving faster now, closing in on me from every side. Their twisted faces loom closer, their grins widening, their black eyes burning into me. I try to run, but the shadows seem to grab at me, pulling me down. My feet feel like they're stuck in place, my body heavy, my heart racing with terror. The man reaches out, his fingers cold as they brush against my arm. "There's no escaping once you've seen them," he says, his voice low, almost a whisper in my ear. "They'll take you, just like they took me." The room feels like it's closing in, the air too thick to breathe. I can hear the whispers of the reflections growing louder, more frantic. And then, "You belong to the shadows now," I scream, but the sound is lost in the darkness. The figures close in, the shadows swallowing me whole. And then, just like that, everything goes black. I don't know how much time has passed. The seconds stretch on like hours. Or maybe it's just the fact that I can't seem to escape the suffocating darkness that surrounds me. I can feel the weight of it, pressing against my chest, filling my lungs. I can't breathe. I can't think. It's like I'm trapped inside my own mind, lost in a void, where nothing makes sense. But then a flicker, a light, just the faintest glimmer far away in the distance. I try to move toward it. My legs feel heavy, like they're stuck in quicksand. But somehow, I push forward. Each step feels like a battle. But I keep going, drawn to that small light, that sliver of hope. As I get closer, the darkness seems to retreat, just a little. The shadows that have been creeping along the walls start to pull back, as though they're afraid of the light. My breath comes in ragged gasps as I push through the shadows, my hands trembling. And then I hear it, a voice, not a whisper, but a voice, a deep guttural sound, one that fills the room. "You can't run from us." I turn, my heart racing. The man, the one who was standing in the aisle earlier, he's back, but he's different. His eyes are darker, colder, and his grin is even wider now, stretching impossibly far across his face. "You opened the door," he says, his voice sending a chill down my spine. "You looked into the mirrors. You've seen the truth." I stagger backward, the light flickering in front of me, as if it's losing its strength. "I didn't mean to." I stammer, my words barely a whisper. "I didn't know." "It doesn't matter," he replies, his voice sharp. "Now they'll come for you. They always do." I feel the darkness closing in again, suffocating me. And I know there's no way out. The mirrors, the reflections, they're all around me. I can feel their eyes, their empty, hollow gazes, burning into me. They're waiting for me to make a move, to give in, to join them. I turn away from the man, desperation flooding me. As I reach for the door, I don't care where it leads. I just need to get out of here. But when I push the door open, I freeze. The room is still there, the mirrors, the figures, but something is different now. Something has changed. In the reflection of the mirror, I see myself, but it's not me, not anymore. It's the man, and he's grinning. Once you let fear in, once you see the truth, you can never truly escape. The shadows always find you, and they always come for what you've left behind.